Alright, so I wanted to take a brief moment and kind of look through how to read Shakespeare and kind of give you some examples using the pop sonnet example on the last page of your Shakespeare language notes outline. So this one I've already given you which song it is. So it's the theme song from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air by Will Smith. So hopefully that's a pretty good reference to you. I like to use this as an example because a lot of people know this song, and so you already know the context and you already know kind of what the song is saying, and that can help you figure out what's going on as you read. So if we think about the different things that I suggested you do while you read Shakespeare, the very first thing I would do is I would underline full sentences instead of just reading to the end of the line. So for example, from Western Philadelphia I hail, where in my youth I'd play upon the green till rue the day I found myself assailed by ruffians contemptible and mean. That's 4 lines, and they're all one sentence. And I'll show you kind of the information that gets thrown in this really quintessential Shakespearean style, and why it's important to kind of read through the lines. So the very first thing we do is I'm going to underline. So from Western Philadelphia I hail, where in my youth I'd play upon the green till rue the day I found myself assailed by ruffians contemptible and mean. There's a period, so I'm going to stop. Okay? So what I see first, I'm going to kind of read as I go and translate as I go. And this is where paraphrasing on the side of your handout for the pop sonnets and paraphrasing on the side of Romeo and Juliet is really going to help you out. Or on the side of Macbeth if you're having to read back through and you're still a little confused for my sophomores. So from Western Philadelphia I hail. Now, maybe I don't know exactly what hail means. For me, I understand and I know that means like where I'm from. So I'm going to jot a little note where I'm from for hail. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I start to paraphrase on the bottom. He's saying, from Western Philadelphia I hail, and there's a comma. So that's kind of the main thought. So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, I'm from Western Philly. Okay? That's how I understand the line. That's what the line is saying. I'm just kind of rewriting it so that I can look back and understand better what it means. Where in my youth I'd play upon the green till rue the day. Now you see how they have these 2 dashes and then this rue the day in between? That's called an interjection. It's called an interjection, okay? And basically what that means is it's extra information. Rue the day, if you don't know what rue means, rue just means like regret or look back on negatively. So he's just saying like, oh, rue the day, like dang it, like I hate that day that this happened. So you can literally just kind of scratch it out. You can skip it. So now we have where in my youth, because when we think back to the full sentence, where is Western Philadelphia? Okay, so in Western Philadelphia is where in my youth I'd play upon the green. I'd play upon the green in my youth is pretty simple. So if I'm paraphrasing, where I'd play in the park, right, on the green is just kind of like green, like yard, play in the park. Till rue the day I found myself assailed. Now assailed is a weird word, so I'm going to put a little question mark by it, okay? I found myself assailed by ruffians contemptible and mean. Now again, maybe you don't know what contemptible means. We do know what mean means, I would hope. Mean means like nasty, cruel, evil type, mean. And ruffians, maybe you do know what ruffians means, maybe you don't. Every time I see the word ruffians, I think of Tangled. And not only the Mother Knows Best song where she's like, ruffians, thugs, poison ivy, quicksand. Like you have that moment where she's singing about ruffians. But several times throughout that movie, Rapunzel says like, oh no, like it's ruffians. Like they use that word. So ruffians basically just means thugs or bad guys. Okay, so I'm going to make a note. Ruffians, thugs, bad guys. So what that means is even if I don't really know what assailed means, I found myself something by ruffians that were mean. So we can think, okay, so there's some type of like fight word in there. And if we look at assailed, that to me reminds me of the word assailing, or like assailant. If y'all haven't heard that term, I am a big true crime buff, and so I know that word very well. But assailant is like someone who is attacking you. So assailed as the verb would mean he's being attacked by thugs. So in my paraphrase, I'm from Western Philly, was the first line, where I'd play in the park. Till is that until. So if you remember how Shakespeare does his iambic pentameter, sometimes he kind of cuts out syllables in order to make the 10 lines. And so here this author is doing something very similar. He's taken out the un, so he's just like, till this thing happened. We use till a lot, but sometimes when we see it written down, it throws us off. So until I was attacked by mean thugs. Right? There's my paraphrase. Again, I'm just writing it in the simplest language possible so that I can look back and remember what it means. And that's the end of our first line. But you can see, if I'm not used to the language, it can take a couple of minutes to kind of read carefully and with purpose in order to really gain a full understanding of what's happening. Again, we didn't really know for sure what assailed mean. We didn't even touch the word contemptible, and we could figure out what the main context of the line means. That's when I say if you don't know a word, you can just skip it. If you can figure out the main gist of what's happening just based on the other words, skip words you don't know. Don't panic about every single word that you read. You'll be okay. Okay? Next line. And this is a long one. Again, 4 lines. Although the spat was trivial and brief, it wounded my dear mother deep within, semicolon, but remember we're going to keep going. And so, to give her conscience sweet relief, she sent me forth to live amongst her kin. Now, especially because I know the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air song, I know what this is saying, but again, I'm gonna go in and slow it down. Although the spat, so if you get in a spat with somebody, it means like the fight, like an argument. So although the spat was trivial and brief, we know what brief means short, it wounded my dear mother deep within, okay? So that's kind of a weird one. Deep within, a lot of times, like if you're talking about deep within a person, they mean like their heart or soul or like their feelings. And so if the mom is wounded deep within, it means like she's deeply affected by it. She's not literally wounded. She's kind of bothered by it. So if I'm rewriting these 2 lines, the fight was short, but my mom wasn't happy. Period. Okay? This is where, too, you don't have to go word for word in rewriting these. When you paraphrase, you can just tell me what's happening and not feel like you have to go like, although is although, and spat is fight, and trivial means small. Like, you don't have to go word for word, okay? So, although my spat was trivial and brief, it wounded my dear mother deep within. We have those 2 lines. And so, to give her conscience sweet relief, she sent me forth to live amongst her kin. Sorry, my cat is crying from the living room for some reason. So to give her conscience, when you have a conscience, that's like the little angel on your shoulder that tells you what to do, or the thought inside your head that tells you, maybe you shouldn't do that, or maybe you should. So to make her feel better, because sweet relief is like when you help something. So to make her feel better, comma, she sent me forth to live amongst her kin. Now, kin, maybe some of us know, maybe some of us don't. Kin is like family, but if we didn't know that for sure, she sent me forth to live amongst somewhere. She's sending me to live. So you just know that in general, she's sending him off to live somewhere else. So I'm just going to put, she sent me away. Okay? Next 4 lines, because again, that's all we need to write for those 4 lines. Again, you don't have to go word for word. Then we have, when to my port of call I'd been conveyed, I came upon a coachman most unique, and yet I simply took the trip and paid, despite his cab's decor and fresh mystique. I survey all the land with princely mine, and fair Bel-Air where I do lay my scene. Okay? So, When to my port of call, it's kind of a weird phrase, I'm going to kind of circle that and put a question mark. I'd been conveyed, kind of a weird line as well. Maybe I don't know exactly what that is, but I have the full sentence, so I'm going to keep going. I came upon a coachman. So coachman, I think of like, okay, coach, the coaches were what you drove in the Wild West. And so coachman is like a driver, most unique, so like a weird driver. And yet I simply took the trip and paid, so I took his ride and I paid him and it was fine. Despite his cab's decor and fresh mystique. All you have to say and all you have to write down, I took a ride from a weird driver. Period. That's 4 lines of Shakespeare, well, Shakespeare in this sense, turned into a single short sentence, okay? Shakespeare and Shakespearean language is really wordy. You can cut a lot of it out. And then the last line, I survey all the land with princely mine and fair Bel-Air where I do lay my scene. I look out, I'm princely, I'm in Bel-Air, here's where it starts, okay? So that's where in your pop sonnets handout, you're going through and you're practicing these skills and you're practicing, okay, what does this word mean? What does this word mean? How does the sentence play out? And then that's where you can see, okay, that kind of translates, quote unquote, into this word or this explanation. And then that's where you can figure out, oh, like Bel-Air. We all know, well, maybe you know, I know, Bel-Air relates to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, that TV show from the 90s. I would hope you all know Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, please. So that's basically how you tackle language. Those are using all of those skills that were in your one handout, in your language notes handout, and it kind of goes through and explains how you're reading, okay? So I underlined complete sentences, I circled words I didn't know, I kept reading if I was confused, and when I'm paraphrasing as briefly as possible and just with the main root of the thing. So the other thing I had suggested, last thing I'll kind of touch on, like in these last things, I came upon a coachman most unique, and yet I simply took the trip and paid, despite his cab's decor and fresh mystique. If you are like super confused, and you have no idea what's happening here, all you have to do is start circling pronouns and verbs. So here, I came upon, I see somebody, I came upon a coachman most unique, and yet I took the trip. So that's kind of the key. I took the trip, despite his cab's decor and fresh mystique. All you gotta write is, he took a ride, okay? Hopefully that makes more sense. Hopefully that helps you out with the pop sonnets handout. But otherwise, yeah, that's all you have to do to tackle Shakespeare.